In today's lesson of This is what happens when companies get greedy, let's talk about Klarna. Currently, they reported a 55% of people not paying back their loan. It's so crazy to me because there's a point when you realize that the consequences of not paying a loan are actually not like that bad. I think at the beginning, Klarna was only issuing loans with people with an X amount of credit. Like it's all about having risk management. But the more loans they give, the more money they make. And I'm pretty sure they started giving up loans to people with not the best credit history or the longest credit history. I believe a lot of like younger people go on Klarna, and that's really where they're going wrong. Like it's like they should have tried to play it a little bit safer. Add to the mix this like overconsumption culture that we live in with social media, where like all day every day we're scrolling and people are selling something, whether it's like the TikTok shop or an influencer showing their new outfit, and it's just a recipe for disaster. Nothing happens, and then all these people can rack up credit card debt and file for bankruptcy. There's a whole side of TikTok. People talk about their bankruptcy experiences and how easy it was to rack up like $100,000 of credit card debt and then file for bankruptcy. And they say, there'll be like a minor thing on your credit, but only for like a couple of years. And like, there's absolutely no consequences for you not doing what you have to do. Now, I love Klarna. I love Affirm. I've used them many times. I've always paid. Like I have auto pays. So I've always paid. I've never been late on anything. I have a really, really good credit score. When I tell you I couldn't even sleep at night, even if the consequences are great, I couldn't even sleep at night. But that's not what's happening with the younger generation. We live in a no consequence reality, and people are fed up with whatever is happening in the world. And they're like, F it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to do anything.
All right. We got to talk about this Klarna and Afterpay situation that's happening. Okay. And this situation, this Klarna and this Affirm, this Afterpay, all these institutions, they have you all in a chokehold. All right. They have y'all in a vice grip. And while some of the things that she said was true, some of the things she said I don't agree with. Okay. For starters, I want everybody to be real with yourself first. Okay. That's the first thing we got to do. I want everybody to be real with yourself before we can address the problem with buy now, pay later, or in this case, buy now, pay never. Right. Before we address this, you got to look inward and admit that you have a problem. And that problem is that you keep going further and further into debt, buying shit that you do not need to impress people that don't even care about you. Can we be real and honest for a moment here? I did a video on my other channel, right, about how people were taking out buy now, pay later loans to buy tickets to Coachella. If you can believe it. They were taking out loans to buy tickets to Coachella, y'all. For those of you that don't know what Coachella is, it's one big obnoxious music festival, okay, where a bunch of drunk and musty people gather together to watch artists that they can barely see or hear perform up on the stage, okay? And unless you have paid the very, 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 very exorbitant cost of having floor seats or somewhere near the main floor area, then chances are your view and your sound experience will not be very grand at all. And in addition to that, since a lot of people didn't really have the $600 cost for the general admission tickets that it cost to get into this event, let alone the $1,300 for quote unquote VIP, what did they do? Everybody say it with me. Everybody say it with me. They financed the tickets. That's right. They financed them. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happens, okay? I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. When people turn to businesses like Afterpay and Klarna, they're looking for a way to get what they need right then and there without having to worry about the cost or the responsibility of paying right then and there. So essentially what you're really getting from this is a quick dopamine hit, right? Quick dopamine hit because you're on an emotional high in the moment. You've just acquired or bought whatever it was that you wanted without having to pay a dime for it. You don't have to pay a dime out of pocket because the thought process is, hey, I'll pay it later. I'll pay it later. Or I'll break it up into 3 or 4 payments and I'll pay it whenever. I'll pay it whenever. But here's the problem. Eventually, later comes knocking at your door. And 8 times out of 10, later comes at a time you ain't ready. Catches you completely off guard because you forgot about it. You forgot about later. You forgot that later said it was going to drop by bright and early in the morning at 8 a.m. And so now, here you are, looking at your door ring camera. You sitting there, caught off guard in your drawers and your nightgown. You wasn't ready. And where before, it wasn't really a big deal when you missed a payment because, hey, there were no real, quote unquote, consequences other than maybe paying a few extra dollars in late fees that got added on, right? You heard her say it. A lot of people said, late fees, who cares? But now these loan businesses are changing the game because they're tired of y'all borrowing money and not paying them back. So they say, you know what? We're about to start reporting all of these accounts and past due balances to these credit bureaus because we gotta find another way to get to y'all since y'all obviously don't really care about being late or missing payments completely, right? We gotta find another way to reach y'all, to reach the consumers and hurt their pockets or hurt their life in some type of way. We gotta get some get back is what these companies are saying. So we gonna hit you and you're already jacked up credit, right? Well, a lot of y'all already got jacked up credit. But for those that may have been all right, we're going to start hitting your credit work. We're going to start reporting your irresponsibility with your financial decisions to the people that can actually really do some damage and flip some tables over in your life. Make your life a lot more complicated. And what was the response of the people, y'all? A lot of people started posting to social media saying, so what? I'm good. I paid my Klarna bill. I couldn't believe it. I went into the comments and there was comments everywhere. I paid my Klarna bill. I'm good. I ain't got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. Stop.
Klarna, the first thing to get paid out my check. But now, if that be true, and everybody is paying their Klarna bill on time and in full, then how is it that Klarna reported customer credit losses of over $136 million in the first quarter of 2025 alone, y'all? How is that possible? I'm no rocket scientist, but I think somebody lying. And in fact, y'all not paying your Klarna payments on time is a huge portion of how Klarna makes bank off of y'all. They love it. They depend on it. Because the average consumer sees buy now, pay later with quote unquote no interest and thinks, oh, this is easy money. Y'all gonna let me pay this in 4 payments? This is easy money. No interest? Oh, yeah, all day. But because a business like Klarna knows that an overwhelming majority of you all will default on your payments, what they do is they go and they attach a simple $7 late payment fee to your loan. And then they just sit back in the cut and they wait. They wait. Because the trap is set. You took the no interest bait. And now every single time you are late on your payment because you forgot about it or you couldn't afford it that week or whatever the case may be, they gonna slide their hands in your pockets and take even more than what you owed because we don't need to hit you with the interest. We cool. We'll settle for the late payment fees that you're going to pay us. We'll settle for it. And so after that report came out about Klarna, I saw just about every think piece across YouTube and TikTok making fun of Klarna going into debt, right? And saying that they're predators, that their business model was predatory. And my response to this at the time was, well, duh, dummies. What did y'all think this was? Huh? How are they any different than any lending company? Or better yet, how are they any different from any credit card institution or business? Yeah, they may have a slightly different business model in as far as how they get funds from y'all and how they get their money up, but it's really the same premise and same goal. You think Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm all started loan companies because they just cared so much about y'all financial situation and they wanted to help y'all out with y'all struggles? Bless y'all little hearts. Bless y'all little hearts. These companies are in the business for the money, baby. They here for the moolah, the dinero. So we're going to let every single one of y'all sign up. We're going to let every single one of y'all through that door to borrow some money. Everybody that want in, you can get in. Because guess what? As long as millions of people owe us, we'll never go broke. Never. You'll always owe us. I've seen all the think pieces on how Klarna is about to go under, quote unquote. They're going to lose. They're going to close down the business, y'all. Good riddance is what they deserve. I've seen it all. I seen y'all talk about how they going bankrupt. And I guess a lot of y'all are really hoping that it's true. Because the sentiment seems to be that if Klarna goes bankrupt and they go under, then all of a sudden, all the money that their customers owe will just somehow magically go away. It'll just go up in the smoke. But I got some bad news for you. That's not how it's working, y'all. You believe that Klarna is going under if you want to. I bet you one thing. I bet every dollar across all 5 of my investment accounts. I bet you that you'll pay before Klarna pays. I bet you that. What y'all thought this was? Huh? This is America. We in the business to make money off y'all. This ain't rocket science here. And so what's the solution, y'all? It's simple. It's really simple. Stop buying dumb shit. Y'all out here financing Beyonce and Chris Brown concert tickets and justifying your purchases with, well, I'm already in debt. What's a little more? Or, well, you only live once. Y'all out here financing all types of stupid shit that you don't need. Yeah, you do only live once. You get one time to live this life in abundance, wealth, and stability. But instead, you all are choosing financial manslaughter and poverty. All so you could take that trip to Dubai with your friends because they convinced you that it was a once in a lifetime chance to go see some dirty ass water up close and sip Mai Tais on the beach. Seriously? Ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, you don't have to make these bad choices, y'all. You don't. And if you instead just adjust your lifestyle to fit the outlook of the future that you want to have, then there will be plenty of beaches in your future. There'll be plenty. Just make some adjustments, that's all. I mentioned how Klarna is really no different than MasterCard or Visa. And believe it or not, there is a way for you, the average, everyday, working class citizen, there's a way for you to take advantage of people who make poor money management decisions as well. There's a way for you to do it as well. Why should the companies, the billion-dollar companies, be the only ones to cash in? You can cash in too. It sounds harsh, but I tell you, I'd much rather be on the receiving side of bad decisions than the side that's under duress from bad decisions. I would much rather be on the receiving end. And so tomorrow, we're going to come right back in here and talk about how to do it. Tomorrow, we're going to come right back in here and talk about what investments you should be making and how we can all capitalize you, how we can use this information that we have about Klarna and about all these institutions and about people making multiple bad and terrible financial decisions across the states. We have this information. What do we do with it, y'all? I'm going to tell you tomorrow. I'm going to tell you what you do with this information. I'm going to tell you how to make money off of this information. You're not going to need to sign up or buy a course. I'm not selling you anything. Okay? This ain't that. I promise you, I'm not going to ask you for a dime. You ain't got to pay nothing. Just pay attention. That's all. It's all it really takes to make money in this country is just pay attention. Watch the economics. Watch the habits of people around you. Watch what they do every single day. That's all this is. And if you pay a close enough attention, you'll learn how to make money. And so tomorrow, come right back in here, and we're going to talk about what you should be investing in, because there's one or two companies that really are a no-brainer. But in the grand scheme of things, we're going to talk about them tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm going to make my first investment into one of these companies. So maybe you'll make it with me. Okay? Just a small investment. Nothing huge, nothing major. But the pivot in your life is major. The understanding of how to operate once you have all this information, that's the major part that you need. That's the part that's going to turn you around and set you apart from all the people out here that's owing Klarna and they in debt and they snatching their hair out, or they on TikTok making videos about how they filed for bankruptcy and how it's not that bad. You should do it too. Okay. All right. Anyway, drop a comment down below, y'all. I appreciate each and every one of you made it this far. And we're going to come right back in here tomorrow and get to business. Okay? Appreciate y'all. Holla at y'all later.